Bitches be do.
Bitches be danged.
Bitches be do.
Bitches be do. Episode title.
Bitches be do.
And they do.
Yeah, a lot of times.
They do be bitches.
They do be.
So I know we had a plan for this episode. And Aiden, by the way, feel free to don't cut this out. But no, so just to bring everybody up to speed here, we're trying to get a little more structured with how we do these episodes. So once a month, Peter and I are going to chop it up. And it might be a little more authentic sometimes. It might be a little more educational, instructional sometimes. Who knows? But we're just trying to bring more value and make sure we're mixing it up and that it's not getting boring. So anything you want to say about that, Peter?
Oh, man, I'm a little disappointed you blurred out the casting couch background.
Yeah.
Carson's new office is a clean room.
Yeah, I do have to check IDs for folks that come in. We're going to get through this.
We're going to get through this together.
Yes, we are.
I
know we had some plans. We had talked a little bit about what we wanted to talk about, but then I made that post and there was actually some good stuff on there. So I was wondering if maybe you want to chop it up on that for a minute. And if we,
let's hit it.
All right, we're going to do this. So Sal Deluvio, a new REV member, brand new. I think he joined last week, jumped into pro. Super excited for him, going hard at the Parma stuff. Anyways, Sal asked about managing your own wealth and not living like you're a rock star, spending money faster than you make it. And I think that's just a topic we can talk about because agents spend their money on the dumbest crap they could possibly spend their money on. Like they think buying a nice car is going to sell more of the policies. No, it's not. They think buying hats and freaking chicken coops and this and that and the other is going to sell more policies. No, it's not. So I thought it'd be really cool. And we can hit some other topics too. We don't have to spend the whole time on this, but that's a freaking good topic.
Yeah. I mean, and that's not something that's applicable to just life insurance agents. That's something that's just normal human stuff, right? Like don't spend more than you make, don't fight the urge to keep up with the Joneses. No one's saying don't have a nice car. No one's saying don't buy a nice house or go on vacations or do fun stuff. But man, live within your means so if something went wrong tomorrow, it would be okay. Like that's one of the things that a lot of people in our industry, like they just crap all over Dave Ramsey, but he's got some stuff that is solid information, right? Like have an emergency fund. That's good advice. $1,000 to start, like the transmission or something goes out on your car, enough money to get something like that fixed and get you down the road. That's solid advice.
Don't put the money you needed to pay your office rent that month into your IUL first, expecting to get it back out and pay your office rent with it.
Right. No, totally.
Dude, this. I totaled my truck a couple weeks ago. I was in an accident the night before we moved it down. And anyways, so I'm looking for a new truck right now and shopping deals. I'm going to buy it I don't know. The one I'm looking at, it's a 2023, brand new in 2023. And how do I know this? Because I almost bought one of these in 2024, brand new. It was $89,000. Instead, live more within my means was, we've stacked so much more away over this last couple of years. Like that's money I don't have to spend. And this exact same truck that I was going to spend almost $90,000 on, I'm buying it 2 years later, used, has a few thousand miles on it. I'm not worried about that at all. They're good trucks. And right now it's $45,000. 44.9 is where we're at.
Yeah, that is one of the things that Dave Ramsey says. That there's a couple things he says that makes me laugh. Like one of them is that's where Chevy's slogan "Like a Rock" comes from. It's talking about the depreciation of the vehicle in the first couple of years because it depreciates like a rock.
Dude, actually, I saw a little Dave Ramsey clip earlier. Directly correlates to this. He's like, "Do you want to know how you can tell like two middle class people that'll always be middle class? Find the middle class house with two brand new cars in front of it. Those people never rise above where they're currently at because they're spending their money on the wrong stuff, right?"
Yeah, that's something Tom Hegna has been saying. The two most common reasons why people end up with financial challenges is their car payment and divorce. So drive old cars and stay married to your first spouse.
Dude, I think it's
because those two things will financially ruin you. And again, I'm not saying don't buy cool stuff. Don't buy new stuff. I'm not saying that. But like the BMW that I have now, the sticker price on that car was like $105,000. I paid $23,000 for it. It had 50,000 miles on it, right? And I bought a warranty with it.
Well, and dude, it's like, so for the people that are so afraid they're going to get judged for this. So we did an event down in the Phoenix area a couple years ago. And as a part of that event, we had one of the most well-known individuals in the life insurance space, Van Miller, come into town to speak. And if I remember right, you picked Van up.
Yep.
Right? And you picked Van up in that car. Did Van, one of the most dudes making millions and millions, tens of millions of dollars every single year selling insurance. He's paid tens of thousands of dollars and flown all over the world to speak and all these things. He is the cream of the freaking crop. Did he say a damn word about your car not being the $105,000 car? Or is it a $23,000 car?
But at the time, in all fairness, I did not have the really cool Temu dash symbol installed yet.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So, yeah.
Did you show that to your kiddos yet?
I did. Peter was all in on it. Harrison's like, can you not do that anymore? That hurts my ears, Dad. Turn that thing off.
The minute I came off that, I knew I had to buy it.
I just went to lunch with my buddy Todd, and he's one of the guys that taught me drums in high school. And he bought a car identical to mine. It's my car's twin, right? Because he got in my car and was in love. He's like, man, this thing is great. And so same thing. He found one that was like 5 or 6 years old that had like 50, 60,000 miles on it. And it's perfect, right? And he went to go get in the car, and I was like, have you seen this yet? It's like, no, what's that? So I screwed it on the dash and played some drums for him. He's like, I am ordering one of those tonight.
Oh man, that makes my heart happy. But no, dude, your car is nice. Dude, I've sat in it. It rides quiet. Anytime somebody's acting up, it's got plenty of power. Like, it's a reliable automobile.
It's a great $23,000 car. I would not want to pay $100 for that.
Dude, so when I first got into insurance, we had a little family car, and then we had a pickup truck. And they weren't like super old, but they weren't brand new either. It was a 2007 Chevy Malibu, right? And I started driving that because I was doing in-home appointments, and man, I'm putting on like 150, 200 miles a day running around and stuff. So, So Camille gets stuck with the truck, but the truck was taken care of. It was nice and put together. The car was taken care of, and it was nice. I put like 300,000 miles on that car. It still looked good because I took care of it. I wasn't an asshole to it, right? It took care of me. Thing did like 35 to the gallon. Now here's what's crazy. Like when I got rid of that car, I went and I bought a brand new truck, and that's the last time I buy a brand new truck, because it did. Like I bought a brand new truck, and right off the lot, 20% of value gone. I drove it for 2 years, put on 40,000 miles, loved the truck, but at the same time, I was like, man, that was dumb. How am I going to sit here and tell other people to be smart while I go and do dumb shit? Because although that truck was nice, it wasn't any nicer the day that I bought it than it was than the day I got rid of it. It was still the same amount of nice, but the day I got rid of it, it was worth so much less, you know? And it's like, same amount of nice, same amount of reliability. Like 40,000 miles is not a lot of miles on a quality vehicle, especially if it was maintained and taken care of, right? And so, and we're not just talking cars here, but I drove that 2007 Chevy Malibu. It wasn't even the V6, it was the 4-cylinder. I drove that thing. I think when I bought that truck, that was the first time I'd crossed $500,000 in income. $500,000. And I drove, and that would have been like 2017, I think, right? So been in the business for a couple years, was starting to make some good money, but I was $500,000 before I bought that truck. I kept driving my 2007 Chevy Malibu because the paint was nice, got good gas mileage, didn't sound like a clunker. If it got an exhaust leak, instead of buying a new car and making a dumb decision, I spent $100 at the dealer and I fixed it.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing with cars where I think people go wrong is like they let little things snowball, you know, which is an analogy for other stuff too. Like, look, if you take care of the little stuff when it's still little stuff, it's not a big deal. When something happens, say, okay, well, I have another little thing I have to take care of. So like anytime anything on my car breaks, like I get it done like right now, because I know if I don't, I'm going to look up and there's going to be 15, 20, 30 things. And it's like, you know what? I'm just going to get a new car. It's just going to be easier to let's just get a new car. This one has all sorts of problems. It's like, this has all sorts of problems because you didn't deal with the problems when they came up.
Dude,
you know, which same deal in business, right?
Business. It could be your house. Like the light bulb burns out, change the damn light bulb. The door's squeaking, put some WD-40 on it or some silicone spray or something. Because like you're saying, Peter, it stacks up and then all of a sudden you hate it so bad, you go and waste your little nest egg that you've just sweat equity for, you blood, sweat, and tears. You waste your nest egg on moving into a new house, changing apartments, buying a new car, switching marketing because you didn't take care, like you bought leads, but you didn't even call them. It's no different. The person that refuses to do their brakes when they need to be done is the same person who doesn't call their leads the day they bought them. Are you freaking kidding me? It's the same person.
It's the same thing. Because that's the thing, is that people will say, it's like, oh, well, good example. I had a rub with this gal that got hired on as an assistant band director when I was teaching drums at a school.
Pepper?
Yes. And
Was it a lemon party?
no, it was not. Was not. Aiden knows what that means, though. Don't you, dirty boy?
Don't you dare delete this, Hayden.
Dirty boy. No, so like she was not set up for success. She got hired on right out of college, which was fine. The guy that brought her in was new in his position. He had never had people working under him before because he was just out of college like 1 year, 2 years. So he sent her on this field trip where she was supposed to be in charge of the drum line at this competition we were going to, right? And not knowing what she didn't know, the kids weren't moving around at the speed that she thought that they should be doing stuff at. And for that particular day, I happened to be working with 5 different groups all at the same show. So I got the high school kids up and rolling. They went in, did their performance. It's like, okay, go pack the truck up. I'll see you guys at awards. I went to go work with the other 4 groups. So I finish up with my groups. I walk back and this woman is standing on the back of a U-Haul truck on the lift gate screaming. I mean, her face is purple. She is screaming at the high school kids because they're not doing what she thinks they should be doing at the rate of speed that she wants them to do it at, right? High school kids will do whatever you ask them to do. You just need to know how to ask them, right? So she's losing her mind. I come walking up and then she turns all of her attention to me and starts literally screaming at me in front of all of my students. And so I stopped, I took a breath. I said, hey, just so we're on the same page, you will never speak to me like that again, whether it's in front of someone or not. I'm going to walk away now. I'll be back in 10 minutes. So I walked away, came back. It's like, listen, they'll do the stuff. You just need to know how to talk to them. So I came over, was like, hey guys, I need you to do this, this, and this. I need you to do this, this. And it was just bang and done, right? Because I had built trust with those kids. She really hadn't yet, right? And somebody that has trust, someone's built trust, you can say different things to people that somebody that does not have that trust established could never say.
Right.
Right. And so I got the thing done. But afterwards, I was talking to a good friend and mentor of mine, Antonio, and I was explaining what happened. And he was like, okay, when you go in and you have the conversation with her and this other band director, he's like, you need to put the attention where the attention belongs. The attention is not you're a bad person, right? The attention isn't that you're a terrible human being. The attention is your behavior was unacceptable in this moment, right? Put the attention on the behavior. The behavior was a problem, right? And so when you turn around and relate this to what we're doing with the business stuff, it's the same kind of thing, right? The problem isn't that you don't call your leads. The problem isn't that you overspend. The problem isn't that you don't follow up when you say you're going to follow up. The problem is the underlying behavior, right? And if you have a problem like that with one thing, it never just shows up in one thing. Like it shows up again and again and again and again, and until you address the problem is like, oh, I have a problem with procrastination. Like if something sits on my desk for longer than 10 minutes, I'm not going to come back to it until something prompts me to come back to it. Right. So realizing there's some kind of behavioral flaw and then putting some systems and mechanisms in place to deal with that.
Dude, I agree. If your problem is keeping up with the Joneses, it could be buying that new vehicle, but it could be having a bigger office when you don't need a bigger office. It could be 100. It could be, I want swag because the Joneses have swag, but I'm sorry, swag is never sold. It's fun to have, but it's never sold a damn policy for me. Not at this point, probably never, but it's fun to have, right? But if you're stuck in that keeping up with the Joneses, the underlying behavior is that you have self-worth issues. And to see somebody have something that looks shinier or looks nicer that you don't value yourself as much as you value them. So you have to go solve for that. That sucks. Maybe you should find a little more self-worth and then you won't feel the need to blow money on dumb shit.
Yeah. Well, that's funny too. Cause like with the marching band stuff and the drumline stuff, like, so I judge competitive marching band and competitive drumline.
You are very judgy.
That's super judgy. And it's funny, like you'll get younger, inexperienced instructors that come in and they'll go, well, tell me about this other school. What did they do that was so much better than me? And my response to them is, because like in the judging, in the critique setting, it's a chance for the instructors and the judges to have a dialogue. Like I already gave you a score. I already wrote down my comments. I gave you a live play-by-play of my commentary during your performance, like in the moment. You already got all those resources from me. It's your choice. It's your opportunity to come in and get some feedback and go, hey, you said this. I didn't really understand what you meant by that. Could you give me some clarification? Or you talked about this a couple times. Did you happen to notice these things that we were doing? You can plant the seeds because I might see a group 2, 3, 4 times over the course of the season, right? And the experienced instructors understand that. Like they come in and they have questions about self-evaluation. Like, hey, you said this. Can you give me some more clarity on that? Can you help me understand I didn't really understand what you meant? Or you said this a couple times. Do you think if I did these kind of things, that might improve our position, right? The inexperienced groups come in and they go, well, tell me, why did that group score so much better than we did? And my stock answer to those people is, hey, look, we have 3 minutes together today. If you want, I can talk about the other groups, or I can talk to you about your group. Like which one do you have the direct control over that can actually change something for your kids? We can talk about the other group if you want, or we can talk about you, right? Which is the whole keeping up with the Joneses thing. Is like, if you're so worried about what the other people are doing instead of being worried about what you're doing, you're going to miss the boat. You're going to miss the boat. Like what's that saying that losers focus on winners and winners focus on winning?
Yeah. Dude, I think like there's so many good things you could spend your money on, but it doesn't mean you should spend your money on it. It's just good things people could spend their money on.
Yeah.
Like I think at the end of the day, if you're a brand new agent or if you're an agent that's you've been at this 20 years, you're making $1 million, like whatever. I think the right answer is before you spend a dime, you better damn well know what your core values are and your core focus is. In other words, you better know who it is you're trying to be. That's what your core values are in a very well-defined written way. Because if you, like we talk about this a lot in Inner Circle, if you don't write it, it doesn't freaking exist. You can sit here and say honest, but nobody knows what you mean. You don't even know what you mean until you sit down and you're like, well, what do I mean by honesty, right? Because when I say honesty, I don't just mean like, oh, don't lie to me. I mean, be able, willing, and driven to make and keep commitments. And if you can't do that, then you're a fucking liar. And it pisses me off. There's a rub there. Sometimes I rub myself the wrong way. Sometimes
you rub yourself the right way.
In the casting,
that's where you're going with that.
In the casting couch room here, that statement hits differently. But yeah, it's always with an open hand. But now I'm sidetracked, Peter Face. What were we even talking about? Piñatas? I don't know. No, you've got to have these core values defined. Why? Because if you're going to be intentional about your business, and I don't know why you wouldn't be. And maybe it's not your business. Maybe you're working in another agency. Maybe you're a CSR. Maybe you're a sub producer. Maybe you're support staff. Maybe you're a manager that works for home office. Maybe you're an underwriter or something like that. Doesn't matter. I've never met anybody that woke up and said, man, I want to be an amazing piece of crap today.
I'm going to be mediocre today.
People want to be good at what they do, but then they don't take equivalent action, right? So it's like, I say I want this, but my actions don't back up my words. If you want to be good at what you do, why wouldn't you be intentional? So have your core values in place. That way you can make sure when you're going to spend dollars that it's on things that align with your core values. Now, on top of that, it's important you have your core values because that's the underlying foundation of setting a core focus. Some people call it a mission statement, but a mission statement, I really believe it's vain bullshit. It's something you're going to put on a plaque somewhere in your office and feel real good about because you wrote all these fancy words. At this point, you probably chat GPT'd the majority of it, but your clients don't read it. They don't care. They never have. They never will. A core focus, how it's different than a mission statement, a core focus, it's sacred. You may never put that in front of anybody. I'll put mine on blast. Like my core focus with REV, for example, is to develop the largest community of honest, ethical, productive, and authentic insurance agents in the world. I don't need you to hear that. I need to hear that. You can hear that, and there's not a goddamn thing you could do with it. That's what I need. So when I'm looking at where do I spend my money, dude, to this day, you know this. You know, I've got dirty little sins. I spend money on dumb stuff still, like symbols from Temu that clip to your vent in your car and send them to my buddies. But also, I'm trying really, really hard to make sure that when I spend money, especially when we're talking about the business, it aligns with my core values. Spending that money still allows me, and it doesn't just allow me, but it empowers me further to be who it is I'm trying to be. And at the same time, empowers me. It verifiably moves my needle forward with my core focus. Because if I spent that money, like people like, why don't you give out more swag? Because ain't one of you frickin' agents ever joined our shit because you got to shut up. Swag is cool, but it's a keeping up with the Joneses play. I enjoy it. And we like to give it out here and there. but it's certainly not where I'm spending my marketing dollars. That's where I spent, oh, I've got extra money and maybe I need the extra tax write-off and I've got money to spend on just something I think could be fun to do anyways. Splurge fund. That's where we buy swag. Swag's not selling anything. The stress balls you bought, the fact that you bought Patrick Bateman business cards instead of just a basic business card so you could hand something out. You had to get the, triple woven, extra nice, double crisp white.
They're supposed to be Patrick Batman, but I got Patrick Bateman.
Regardless, it all makes you an axe murderer. And here you are with your head looking like an orange on a toothpick.
He Hans! No! It's a virtual planetoid.
Getting into axe murder and
That was good.
I thought it was good. Smooth. But the reality is
There's a handful of people who are just like, oh, this is killer. And the other people are like, what are they talking about?
there's a part of culture that you need to get into, some films you need to watch. But
How I Married an Axe Murderer.
How I Married an Axe Murderer. Anyways, the point is, if your expenses don't align with your core values and your core focus, then you're probably spending money on the wrong stuff. And wherever you're at in business, brand new or you're making millions, I think that's a barometer anyone can use, but too few people are. So
yeah, and to your point, it could be really good stuff. It's like you want to get your health in order, so you go get a gym membership. Great, but then you have to follow up with that. You have to use the gym membership, right?
just like they could be really good leads, but then you have to actually call them, and not just call them once, but maybe call them 50 frickin' times until you talk to them and they said no. It's just like buying a gym membership and not using it.
Yep.
Right. So I don't know. What else do you want to, we can switch topics, or if you've got some.
Is there any other comments on the Facebook post?
Yeah. Yeah. So Tyler, Tyler asks, why do agents struggle to ask questions and what are they so afraid of?
Yeah, I think that there's a couple things there. So why do they struggle to ask questions? It's because it's stuff that they're not confident about, right? And I think that's the underlying root of the problem, is that they are worried that somebody is going to realize that they are a fraud, but really they're not a fraud, right? They're just still learning, like everybody. Like I learn new stuff about insurance every day. Carson, I'm sure you learn new insurance stuff all the time. That doesn't make me a fraud. That makes me invested in my education because I want to continually learn and do better. So when I meet with somebody today, I might have a client that I've met with every year for the past 5 years. And why should they get back together with me every year? It's like, well, because one of two things happen. Either something changed for them, or as their advisor, something changed for me. And honestly, it's usually a little bit of both. They bought a car, sold a house, lost a job, had a kid, life, right? Stuff changed for their situation. But for me, I joined a mastermind. I went to a NAFA meeting. I did some self-study and did some research. I had something happen with another client, and because I had to study in on that, now I know something different than when I met with them a year ago. So why do they not ask questions? Because it's something that either they would be uncomfortable if somebody asked them, like the financial questions, right? That's usually where it is. Or B, they're afraid that if I ask a question, the client might give me the answer. And if they give me the answer, then they might expect me to have a solution for them. And I don't have that right now.
Yeah, I think in my experience, and I think it, just in concert with what you've said, it's the same thing. There's two reasons why people are afraid to ask questions. They either are insecure because they don't know their ass from a hole in the ground, or they're insecure because they lack at-bats. So here's the deal. You certainly don't want to step up to home plate in a baseball game and take pitches from a live pitcher before you've ever even picked up a baseball bat. So it might behoove you before you pick up or before you step into that game to pick up a baseball bat, go to the batting cages and take 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 swings. But here's what I also know. I can take a ball player who's taken 10,000 swings in the batting cage, and they are going to have 100%. They need to feel confident because they are going to have better hand-eye coordination when it comes to swinging that bat and hitting that ball than somebody who hasn't taken any swings. But they're still going to step up to that home plate against a live pitcher and suck. Why? Yep. Because it's freaking different. It's different. And I've said it. I've said it before. I'll say it again. It's in the freaking modules, y'all. And if you did it, you would have heard it. But you can't study your way to proficiency in this business. Now, if you're not studying at all, you also fail. If you're not putting in 15, 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week on average into becoming better studying stuff, learning daily, you are failing yourself. And you're not just failing yourself, you're failing your family at home because you make less money. And that sucks for them that you're not an optimal provider. You're failing your family at home. Why? Because now you're sending your kids out to school to the school teacher who's ornery because her finances are out of control and she has no idea what's going on, but you couldn't have a good conversation to help her get it to be optimal because you didn't put in 30 minutes of study. So your kid is getting yelled at by Miss Johnson, and you're like, oh, well, she could use a Snicker bar. No, she could use a freaking agent or an advisor that gave two shits enough to do 30 minutes of study once in their life to affect the rest of their career. But that 30 minutes of study doesn't happen once. It happens every single day. And that preparation, that's the batting cage, right? But at the end of the day, you got to get into those conversations. You got to be okay with stepping up to home plate and sucking. And it's okay.
Well, and the other thing is, to your point with needing the at-bats, that is important. Absolutely. We've all heard the saying that practice makes perfect. And I don't think that that's true. I think that perfect practice makes perfect, right? And so what I mean by that is going out, like you said, like, hey, if the goal is to hit a baseball, you can go take 10,000 swings at 10,000 pitches, right? And just by happy accident, you're going to get better just because you've got more at-bats now, right? But if you had twin brothers that were doing the same thing, right? And brother number one does what we just talked about. He just hops in a cage, pushes start, and takes 10,000 cuts. He's going to get better, right? He couldn't get worse. He's going to get better. But if brother B had a coach, had somebody that was able to give him feedback and critique and instruction along the way, and he took, instead of taking 10,000 swings, just all bang, 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 he took 10 swings, and the coach said, hey, man, that looks really good. Keep doing that. Keep focusing on what you're focusing on. Take 10 more. Bang, bang, bang. Okay, cool. I think we got that down. Now what I want you to do is, let's just change. We're going to make a small adjustment, right? We're just going to make sure that we're keeping our back elbow up. Okay? Don't focus on anything else. Just think about that back elbow up. And you take 10 more swings. Yeah, looks good. The elbow's dropping a little bit. Keep it up. 10 more swings, getting better. Take 10 more. 10 more, it's really good. It's like, hey, great. So now I want you to think about punching through the ball with your backhand, right? Okay. And we take another 30, 40 swings, right? That person is getting more intentional practice because they're getting feedback. There's a feedback loop there. Instead of just going out and I'm just going to force this thing to happen and do it 10,000 times, right? But I do 10,000 times the wrong way.
It's fun because when I say this, I'm just trying to sell shit. Like people don't realize that REV, for example, is a not-for-profit. We don't make any money on it. I don't make money on it. You don't make money on it. Like it does not even pay us for our time. Like it doesn't. It's a passion project. So it's sometimes I don't talk about this. Maybe I should, like, forget what everybody, but it's like, I don't want to be, selling people stuff. But here's the reality, right? When you talk about that, the difference is for an insurance agent, it's taking something like REV. Like you join REV, it's $97 a month, right? And for $97 a month, that's no different than both brothers, like one brother's paying for the batting cage, the other brother's paying for the coach. But paying for it didn't do anything for you. You pay for the batting cage and you get your swings or you pay for the coach. Now, here's the deal. Paying for the coach isn't coaching. You got to show up. So like I look at these Friday huddles we've been doing. Every Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific, right? And I look at the fact that we have hundreds of agents that are paying for it. And we have a couple handfuls that show up on a weekly basis. And it's interesting to see because I know you've been helping me run this thing long enough now. You see it too. Like there is a visible difference between the ones that pay for it, the ones that have it, and the ones that use it. Just like go back to the gym membership. There's a visible difference. When you both are spending the money, there's a visible difference between the ones that have it and the ones that use it, right? So come back around to, and I mean, even all the way back around to Sal's question, what should you spend your money on? Well, when you're early in the business, education, like you got to get licensed. You got to get educated for that. Once you're licensed, you realize, wow, none of the licensing had anything to do with how you actually make a living at this. So now you got to get educated on that, right? So education, systems and processes, like you got to have quoting software, you got to have calendar software, you got to have a CRM of some kind. Doesn't need to be crazy, but you got to have the basics, right? That's it. And then opportunities, whether that's buying leads or paying to do your own marketing, paying to go to events or whatever. Not you go to somebody else's rah-rah event, but you paying to be at the ag event, at the farm event, at the home show, at the whatever it may be, right?
Yep.
Those are the three things when you're a brand new agent, categorically, that you spend money on primarily. But coming back to Tyler's question, like I feel like the two actually tie in together pretty well. Why are people afraid to ask questions? Because they lack the preparation, they lack the coaching, because even though they prepared, it was all self-study, and so they still don't trust in what they know, and then they're too afraid to fail. This is a game of failures. Insurance is a game of failures.
It totally is. It's just like baseball. Like the thing is, like we were talking with our conversation with Casey this week, right? Insurance is a game of failures, just like baseball is a game of failures, right? In baseball, if you hit 300, like that is Hall of Fame type numbers.
I don't know if you're watching Babe Ruth, damn blurred. Babe Ruth batting average, .342. That means 6.5 times out of every 10 times he stepped up.
Struck out.
He struck out 6.5 times. And some of y'all buy leads and you're mad that you're only closing 5 out of every 10. Shut the hell up.
The problem is we don't work through enough no's to get to the yes, right? If you have 10 and you're going to get 3 yeses, right? The problem is you're probably going to get 7 no's first, right? Or keep in mind, these are averages, right? So it might mean that you take 14 no's again and again and again and again, but then you have 6 yeses coming on the back end. But if you stop after 5 no's, you never get to the 6 yeses.
It might mean if you have a 30% conversion ratio,
right? Through 70 of them.
It might mean that you have 70 no's, 30 yeses.
But you'll never know. You'll never know. What's going to end up happening is you stop at 50, and then those other 50 people meet someone like me and Carson and I close 30 out of 50. And it's like, oh, sweet. We just found somebody's back into their percentage, you know, but it literally is. Insurance is a game of failure.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, you cannot study your way to proficiency. You got to go fail your way to proficiency. Every single at bat, you might strike out, but you're gonna, you get smarter. You're like, oh, he's throwing like that. Oh, he's trying to quick pitch me. Oh, he's throwing me a lot of, a lot of off heat stuff. He's throwing me, right? You're learning every single time. Each failure is a win. The only reason you're afraid to ask stuff is because you don't have the perspective that failures are wins. And what I mean by that is that if your only goal is to sell stuff, it's because you lack depth of perspective. The win in this business is not selling a policy. Yeah, that's what we get paid for. But the win in this business is improving lives. Don't sit here and tell me you care about people if the only reason you can celebrate yourself is for selling them something. That might make you an asshole, right? So if you feel like you're here, you want to help people, you want to be benevolent, the win has to be about something bigger. And for me, the big win is I win this conversation, I lose this conversation, I sell something, I don't sell something. Their life is forever changed for the better. Because I asked them a question that even if they told me to piss off, they go and ask their financial advisor that question. They're like, actually, that is pretty smart. What am I doing to protect myself from market downturn while I leave myself positioned to take advantage of market upturn? And I make sure that the IRS doesn't bend me over the barrel. Is there anything that I'm doing to cover those 3 very specific things? Because all my guy has ever told me is that I've got a 35-65 split. I've got some S&P 500, some QQQM, and some, whatever. That's all he's ever told me. What am I doing to address that? And they could never talk to me again. But now they have that conversation with their financial advisor, and maybe their life and portfolio is improved. And maybe their financial advisor is like, holy crap, those were good questions. I should start asking all my clients those. And now my whole community, the lady who's not my client, who still is my kid's school teacher, is in a better mood because she's not in such a desperate financial situation, right? That's the freaking win. And if that's the win, why would I ever need to be scared of asking a question? You're only scared of losing. You're scared of being turned down on that prom date. Like if the goal of the prom date of asking that chick to the prom or asking that guy to Sadie Hawkins dances or, girls ask guys dances or whatever, the sock hop. If the goal wasn't for them to go to the dance, if the goal was for them to feel great that they got asked, would it decrease the anxiety you had to ask the question in the first place?
Yeah. I mean, man, if you knew that every person you were going to ask was going to tell you no, Like at some point you stop asking, right? It's like, I'm just going to stop asking that. Nobody says yes ever. But if it was 50-50, would you stop asking?
50-50.
It's 50-50. If it was 90-10, would you stop asking? Knowing that like, well, 1 out of 10 people might tell me no. Right. And I'm not a huge mindset kind of person. I think that I have a pretty positive mindset in general. And I really do believe that everybody that I talk to is going to buy from me. So that's probably why I don't spend a lot of energy in that basket, because I already do that. You know, I don't need a lot of reframing to think of myself in a positive light. You know, like I joke around and I tell Cassandra all the time, nobody loves me like me. Like I am my own number one biggest fan. But I go into every client interaction, every prospect interaction with the thought process on, this person's going to buy something from me. It might not be today, but they're going to do business with me. It might take me a couple of years. They are going to do business.
Yeah.
You know,
No doesn't mean no. It just means not today.
yeah, just not right now.
Yeah. Shut the hell up, put me on do not disturb. Doesn't mean you don't like me. It just means you haven't actually met me yet.
Yep.
We haven't been to Buffalo Wild Wings and had a beer yet.
The B-dubs.
Yeah. It doesn't mean I need to keep bugging you incessantly, but it also doesn't mean I need to delete your contact info. You asked me to not reach out to you. Cool. I won't right now. But in some roundabout way, we're going to find our way back to each other. So I'm not deleting your phone number. I'm not deleting your email. Hell no. I'm keeping those notes.
Until somebody tells me,
Now,
Peter,
we're going to laugh about how you told me to go pound sand. And you're going to be like, my God, I'm so grateful you did. And it's like, I know, Jerry.
you're welcome. That's one of the things, like I'll joke around with people where, you know, I'll follow back up a month later, 3 months later, 6 months later, 12 months later. And they're like, man, you're still calling. It's like, well, yeah, until you tell me to go to hell and to never call you again. It's like, if it's cool with you, I'm going to just keep checking in with you every couple months.
That's it. I have been thanked so many times, so many more times for being incessant than I have been thanked for leaving somebody alone. I've been thanked for being incessant more than I've been thanked for leaving somebody alone.
Yeah. Well, I think it's one of those things where a lot of agents don't like high pressure sales. A lot of people don't like high pressure sales, but specifically agents, right? And so
You're telling me if I put you in at 42 and I brought you out at 112.
What's it going to take to get you in a car today? But no, they pivot so hard away from high pressure that they go to no pressure, which kind of like back to Tyler's question is like, they just don't ask the questions. Like, oh, I don't want to make the person uncomfortable. It's like, well, the question isn't inherently what makes the person uncomfortable. It's how you asked the question that made them uncomfortable. You know, if they show up thinking that you're going to talk about home and auto and you start asking about their personal finance, they're going to go, time out. What does that have to do with anything? Like, I want to talk to you about my car.
Didn't you just close $1 million annuity doing a review with somebody for their home and auto? I know in REV we've talked about this quite a bit, but what was it? Because that person told you to piss off a decade ago.
You did. He absolutely did.
A decade, and you just closed $1 million annuity. And it's not about the close. It's you got paid a commission for selling an annuity. Certainly, that dude just got 1 million reasons why he should be thanking you because you solved 1 million problems for it. That's freaking cool.
Yeah.
So what was the pivot?
So with him, the pivot was, it was just solving the right problems, you know? And ultimately the problems that he had were, because he had the money in an annuity before. Like I rolled it out of one annuity into a new annuity. And the annuity that it was in before was outside of the surrender period. Cool. That was his biggest hang up. He really did not want to get into something with a new surrender charge. He liked the fact that he was outside of there. So initially I had talked to him about, hey, you know, this thing's only making like 2.5% interest. Like we've got lots of other options. You could make more interest than 2.5%, even if it's just, even on a guaranteed basis. And he's like, the interest really, I mean, interest is nice. That's not really my biggest concern. Is like, I don't want to have a fee or penalty to get to my money. Like, that's fair. So that was problem number one that I was able to finally work around. Was there was that annuity that's got 11% bonus, right? It's fixed indexed, 11% bonus, guaranteed, participating, liquid, accessible on day one, but it only had a 7% surrender charge on day one too. So it's like, all right, well, if you do this, it's like before you earn anything, like on day one, you could walk away with a 4% positive arbitrage. If you put the money in, I don't want to do this, and left, you're going to leave with, on $1 million, you're going to leave with $32,000. He's like, okay. I was like, but the cool thing is like, man, if you leave it in there for 12 months and a day, it's like, if we put you in the fixed interest, that's going to get you almost 14.5% interest on year one. And the surrender charge on year two is only 6%. So you're going to walk away with 8+% guaranteed after 12 months and a day. Like, so there's effectively no surrender charge anymore. So I solved that problem for him. Second problem he had was he really, not really a problem, but man, he had a goal, a financial goal. He really wanted this thing to be at $1 million before he started taking money out. He has to take his first RMDs April of next year. And it wasn't quite $1 million. It was like $960,000, right? 965. And so that was problem number two, is like, well, you know, if you do this with the bonus, like you've got 965 right now, you give me the check tomorrow, you will have over $1 million tomorrow. Done. And he's like, oh, okay. So that was a long-term financial goal that he hadn't said before that. But once I solved for the first problem, he told me about the second problem. It's like, yeah, I can solve for that too.
So Peter, how did you find out that having $1 million in there meant something to him? How did you find out that liquidity, like having access to his money, meant something to him?
I asked him.
Wait, why did you ask him? Because this dude bitched you out before. And as I recall the story goes, he bitched you out and you felt pretty low for a while.
Oh, yeah. Full disclosure, I didn't talk to this dude about, so going back, he was the first client ever that yelled at me, like actually yelled at me in an office. I was a brand new baby agent. I was in my first year in business, and I brought to his attention, he had a couple universal life policies, not IULs, but traditional universal life policies that in the next 7 to 10 years were going to blow up unless he did something else, right? I ran some illustrations for him and gave him the gift of time. Like, hey, you need to make some decisions. You need to do something with this. And he was pissed and he yelled at me, and Cliff was in the appointment, and Cliff let him yell at me a little bit. Thanks, Cliff. And Cliff finally came back around. I was like, well, hold on. He's like, you know, these policies, like Peter didn't write these policies. It's like, these policies were written when Peter was in elementary school. So he's not the problem. He was the solution. He's giving you opportunities and dignity in making some decisions. Because if you don't make decisions are going to get made for you. So here are your options. And I had laid out all the options for him, but it stung. So I didn't talk to that dude about his financial stuff for about 8 years. We still got together every year and we would touch base on his home and auto. And I would literally skip over those questions in the fact finder, just next. But I did a thorough fact finder the first time with him. So about 8 years into this thing was when I was first going through REV as a member. I was in pro and I had set up some automations and stuff. So he called me proactively for an account review off one of my automations. And we sat down, I started going through the fact finder. I asked him the first couple questions and I flipped over that stuff and I stopped. I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing anybody any favors by not asking him these questions. It's like, I'm going to ask him. It's going to be uncomfortable. I'm going to ask him anyway. I flipped the thing back. I was like, so Danny, it's been a while since we've talked about this other stuff. Like, I want to make sure I'm doing the best job for you that I can. So I'm going to ask you a whole bunch of questions. Some of it's financial in nature, right? But everything we talk about is confidential. It's probably going to go on a podcast. But it's just so I can make the right recommendations for your situations. Like, okay, like didn't bat an eye. Okay. And I was like, so last time we talked, you didn't have any life insurance. Have you guys taken any policies? Like, no, after that last policy, we're done. We'll just self-insure on that. Like, okay. So that's not something you necessarily want to look at. Like, nah, not after my last experience. Okay, that's fair. But I asked him the questions. Then we get into the financial inventory stuff and we start going through and I'm asking questions about how he feels about taxes, market volatility, all those kind of things. And he's giving me little Easter eggs along the way as far as what's important to him. And then I ask him for these accounts like, hey, so the last time we met, you had this account had like, I don't know, call it $600,000 or whatever in it. And he's like, oh yeah, it's like, it's closer to $1 million now. He would tell people it was close to $1 million because he liked that million number, but it was 900 and whatever. And so he started telling me, I have this. And then once he told me what he had, I asked some more questions like, okay, so what kind of account is that in? He's like, well, it's in an annuity. Oh, okay. Is it still in the surrender, outside of the surrender? He's like, no, it's outside of the surrender. So I can take it and do whatever I want with it. And so I started asking him, digging in on that thing because he was giving me some information. But that whole thing came from, and like the purpose behind the meeting was we were going to shop his home and auto, which we did. We took care of those things too. But, going through and asking the questions, avoiding the questions didn't do him any favors, didn't do me any favors. It didn't get him closer to his goals, didn't get me closer to my goals. if anything, it would have been to a detriment to this guy. And we were able to solve for 3 or 4 problems that he had, all with one foul swoop, it benefited him hand over fist. It benefited me hand over fist. He gets to say he is a millionaire on paper before his pension, before the equity in his home, any of that stuff. Like, he has one account that has over $1 million in it. And not very many people can say that.
Yeah, so it's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
Like, coming all the way back around, why don't people ask questions? Because they have too much anxiety wrapped up in their own ego. Be okay with sucking, because you sucking at something might just get you to ask the question that changes somebody's lives. And over the course of you asking those questions, you get really, really good at asking questions. And it's pretty cool.
Yep.
It's pretty cool. Well, dude, I know we're coming up on time here. Before we close this whole thing out, I know at this point, you're really, really plugged into not just the REV community, but Winning at Insurance on Facebook and all these other things. You're plugged into thousands of agents across the United States, Canada.
Yep.
And we're going to do one of these a month, but it's going to be another month before we get back together. Based on the conversations you've had recently, is there any words of wisdom you feel like you could give to the insurance community as a whole that might help them over the course of the next month?
Yeah. Everybody thinks they're busy. Everybody thinks they're busy. And a lot of people are actually busy. But be mindful of what your busy is. Sometimes busy is just busy, right? Sometimes it's like as a captive multi-line agent, busy for me meant service work, right? I was doing mortgagee updates and changing auto policies and different stuff like that. And when I was so busy with that stuff, what I stopped doing was I stopped prospecting, right? I stopped thinking about what the next thing was. And you really need to approach it as the same way that you need to approach it like a farmer and not like a stock boy at a grocery store, right? Stock boy at the grocery store walks down the aisle and goes, "Hey, we're out of Oreos." Okay. Beep. We need to order Oreos. "Hey, we're out of peanut butter." Beep. We need to order peanut butter. And it takes a couple days, couple weeks, couple months to get those items that they ordered to show up, right? And in the meantime, what happens? People still need Oreos and peanut butter. So instead of going to Kroger, they go to Walmart, they go to Target, they go to wherever, right? Versus a farmer, they're currently, if they have one crop that's ready to be harvested, they've already planned and prepared for the next crop that goes in after this one comes out of the ground, right? And that's the mindset you need to have, is that it's cyclical. It's a constant ebb and flow of when you're prospecting for business, you're getting ready to write business 30, 60, 90 days from now. But when you're actively in the throes of those fact finders, you still have to be prospecting, because what you fact find today is going to close, say, 60 days from now. Well, if you woke up 60 days from now and you closed all that business and your pipeline is absolutely empty, it's going to take you another 90 days to get back to where you were at, right? And that's where those huge peaks and valleys come in our production. So even though you feel like you are busy right now, and I'm sure you are, carve out 30 minutes a day, a week, and be intentional with, this is where my next intentional focus is going to be, because this is the next thing that I'm going to start harvesting. I'm going to start marketing to people for annuities, or I'm going to start marketing to people for Medicare, open enrollment, or home and auto, business, whatever it is, right? You got to have the forethought to think about the next thing while you're working on the current thing. Because if you don't, you're going to wake up and all of a sudden the busy work's going to be done. And you're going to look around and be like, well, crap, what do I do now? And it's way harder to start the machine from scratch than it is to use some of the momentum that you have and just plant seeds along the way.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think if I had to throw one out there, it would be put down pride. Pride has kicked my ass too many damn times in this business and in life. And I'm not saying this just because it's kicked my ass, but I'm currently watching it kick other people's asses. Put down pride. I understand that you've done X and you've come so far, but that can't be the reason why you take the next steps. You take the next steps because they make sense, not simply because you poured into it. That's what we call in economics. That's what we call sunk cost thinking. I put this into this, so I'm going to continue to put into this. That's some dumb shit.
Yeah.
That's dumb stuff.
I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing just because that's how I've always done it. It's like, well, if you keep doing the things you've always done, you're going to keep getting the results that you've always got.
Yeah. And that's it. So put down the pride. Pride is what makes you buy the business cards that cost 5 times more just because they look a little nicer, but they don't enhance your call volume. Pride is what makes you spend money on stuff that looks good instead of stuff that performs good. Pride is what makes you go and buy that car that's nicer than you really need it, because you could have bought the same damn car. Nobody would have even known the damn difference because nobody's paying that much attention to you, right? Pride is what makes you... I was going to make a Temu symbol joke again, but we'll move past it. It's pride. Put it down. Pride is what makes you want to say, oh, I spent the money on the gym membership, but I'm too busy to go. No, the hell you're not. There was a reason you spent that money in the first place, and it's because you felt there was that twinge of honesty you had with yourself where you looked down and you said, my God, I can't see my dick. Can't see it, or my toes, or whatever.
We were doing so good.
Yeah, I know, but then I got fired up. There was that moment of honesty, and that's why you spent that well-spent money. But here you are now trying to sell yourself and everybody else on how you're too big and busy and important to follow through all the things that actually mattered in the first place. Put down the pride, pick up humility, and make decisions that are in alignment with your core values and your core focus. The reason most people are mad, Peter, that all the agents I've been talking to, the biggest reasons they're mad and upset at the world and the way things are going on around them and everything else, hell, most of the time the reason I get mad is because I'm out of alignment with my core values, my core focus, myself. It has nothing to do with the world. It's that I know I'm screwing me up. I don't need anybody else to kick my own butt. I do it well enough on my own.
And nobody's going to be harder on me than me.
But when I'm being hard on me, I'm pretty awful to everybody else. I burn those bridges. I don't call those leads. I don't follow through on this. I hole up and don't do that. And the one thing that leads me to all those dirty, dark, dingy places is frickin' pride. Because when I'm humble, I show up on time. I call my leads. I follow through on the things I need to follow through on. I find a way to not be too busy to do the things that I was sitting here saying are the most important anyways. And if they're not the most important, I find the humility to come hat in hand and say, you know what? I thought this was important, but it's not. I'm so sorry for wasting your time, but I just can't prioritize it right now. Pride is the only reason we fail at all those things. So put down the pride, pick up humility, and go to frickin' work. Just shut up and go to work. So that's my message. Anything else you want to leave folks with before we wrap it up?
Oh, man. I think that's a good one.
Sweet. Well, we'll close it out. We'll see y'all not just next week, but next month when Peter and I riff off again, and we'll do all the things.